Good morning everyone. Today we will see about the Neoplasia part 2. So what is the today's lecture outline? Characteristic of we are discussing about the characteristic of tumor and development of the tumor. Okay, we will study one by one. The characteristic of tumor, mainly we are discussing about the malignant tumor, having the 4 characteristics. Number 1 is the differentiation, the rate of growth and local invasion. Last one it is the metastasis. So we will discuss one by one. So first one, differentiation. So what is differentiation? The extent of morphological and functional resemblance of parenchymal tumor cells to corresponding normal cells. Okay, simple understanding is how much the tumor cells resembles their cells of origin or normal cells. We have studied the tumor cells have the 2 characteristics. One is the parenchymal cells, another one is the stroma. So that parenchymal cells, how much is similar to the cells of the or normal cells or of the tissue. So that is known as the differentiation. So let me make much clear. Okay, in our body there are 6 type of differentiation is taking place. Number 1 is atrophy, hypertrophy, hyperplasia, metaplasia, dysplasia and anaplasia. Okay, so simple understanding. Okay, these 4 are atrophy, hypertrophy, hyperplasia and metaplasia is the adaptive response. So that means it is a reversible changes. So what is that? So suppose take one example, normal. This is the normal cells, maybe the squamous cells. Okay, whatever atrophy means, it is a decreased size of the cells. It is known as the atrophy. Decreased size and shape of the cell is known as the atrophy. Okay, what is hypertrophy? Increase the size of the cells. It is known as the hypertrophy. Okay, what is hyperplasia? Increase the number of the cells. It is known as the hyperplasia. Okay, what is metaplasia? Any one epithelial mesenchymal cells changes into the another epithelial cells or mesenchymal cell. It is known as the metaplasia. Okay, what is dysplasia? Dysplasia is nothing but lack of uniformity of the cells. You can see here the cells. Okay, differentiation. You can see the variation in the size and shape of the cells. That means you can see the loss of polarity. Okay, the cellular organization of the cells are lost. It is known as the dysplasia. Okay, another important word is the anaplasia. Anaplasia is the complete loss of the growth. So there is the cells will not grow, shall not go for the growth. So this is the 6th type. Okay, so this 4, the first 4 is known as the adaptive response and dysplasia and anaplasia is the. So this dysplasia and anaplasia is the characteristic of the tumor cells. Okay, and metaplasia may progress to the tumor cells. So we are discussing about the 3 events: metaplasia, dysplasia and anaplasia. So we are discussing about the 3 differentiations. Okay, the first one, definition. It is the adaptive changes in which one adult type epithelial or mesenchymal cells replaced by the another adult cell type. Okay, it is the adaptive response. Okay, what is dysplasia? It is an abnormal growth where lack of uniformity of the individual cells with architectural deformity. It is a lack of uniformity of the cells. Simple understanding is the loss of basal polarity. That means cellular organization is totally lost. That leads to architectural deformity. Okay. What is anaplasia? The state of complete undifferentiation. The differentiation is not happening. The cells, in case of metaplasia, we can see the mature cells, and in case of dysplasia, you can see the combination of the mature cells and immature cells, but in case of anaplasia, we can see the immature cells only. Okay, mitosis, okay, that is cell division. So in case of metaplasia, normal cell division, and you can see the typical cells you can see. That means the normal cells, which is suppose it is into the lung blood cells, the normal blood cells you can see. And in dysplasia, here also it is a normal cell division and typical cells we can see. But in case of anaplasia, abnormal cell division or autonomous cell division, and you can see the atypical cells you can see or abnormal cells you can see. Okay. Compared to the tissue, the metaplasia occurring into all the tissue and dysplasia occurring mainly into the epithelium, and anaplasia also occurring into the all type of the tissue. And behavior, as we studied, metaplasia is the adaptive behavior, but dysplasia is one of the benign behavior, and anaplasia is a malignant behavior. Okay. Polarity, as we discussed, metaplasia it is a maintained, and dysplasia it is a lost, and even anaplasia it is a lost. And cytoplasmic nuclear ratio normal is 1:4 to 1:6. Okay. In case of dysplasia and anaplasia, both are increased. That means 1:1. It may progress to 1:1. Okay. In phylomorphism means the variation in the size and shape of the cells, or both are present. This phylomorphism is present in the dysplasia and anaplasia, where there is in the metaplasia it is absent. Hyperchromatism, dark staining nucleus, it is known as the hyperchromatism. Here the dysplasia and anaplasia is the present in it is present, and in metaplasia it is absent. Okay. Condition, metaplasia is a reversible conditions because it is adaptive response, and dysplasia is a partially reversible condition. That means in beginning case it is reversible, in later case it progresses to the carcinoma in situ. That we'll discuss later. Okay. Anaplasia, it is always irreversible conditions. Okay. So this is the differentiation between metaplasia, dysplasia and anaplasia. Okay. So differentiation for our purpose clinically we differentiate into the two types: well differentiated differentiation and poorly differentiated. Okay. In normally the benign tumors are well differentiated and malignant tumors are poorly differentiated. That's all. Very simple. And rate of growth. Okay. Rate of growth depend upon the three factors: rate of cell division and destruction of the tumor cells, as we discussed into the part 1, and non-neoplastic elements in the tumor, and degree of the differentiation, presence of the all growth factor, epidermal growth factor, fibroblast growth factor, platelet derived growth factor, transforming growth factor, everything depend upon this. Everything leads to the rate of the growth. Okay. The simple meaning, the malignant tumor grow faster than the benign one. Okay. So third will go for the local invasion. So what is the local invasion? Infiltration and depth. So how to understand? So this is the suppose the tumor develop into the epithelial tissues. Okay. What is the invasion? The same part of the tissue will be involved. It involved to the other parts like extracellular matrix or other thing, everything. So depth means it is from above downwards or below upwards. It's the same type of tissue, the local invasion. That is the reason we are calling as a invasion is a localized, local invasion, or you can see the local spread. Okay. So better word, it is the infiltrations. Okay. In benign tumor, it is no invasions. Benign tumor will not go for the characteristic of invasion. In malignant tumor, infiltrate, invade, destroy the surrounding tissues. So surrounding tissues. So once it is tumor cells will attack to the other part of the surrounding tissues. The same part of the tissue will be involved. Okay. This is known as the invasion. Okay. Now we'll study about the metastasis. Metastasis is known as the distal spread. Okay. So suppose this is the tissue will be involved. Okay. The other part, the same part will be involved in case of local invasion, but metastasis means these tumor cells spread to the other part of the body like lungs, liver and bones. Okay. So this is known as the metastasis. So simple meaning, invasion means a local invasion, and metastasis is the distant spread to the other part of the body. Okay. So what is the definition? It is defined as spread of tumor by invasion in such a way that discontinuous secondary tumor or masses are formed at the site of the lodgement. The simple understanding is development of the secondary tumor implants in the distant tissue. It is known as the thing. Okay. So suppose tumor cells spread from affected part to the suppose in the other part. So how it is spreading? So this the process of spreading is known as the metastasis. Okay, metastasis depend upon the three characteristics: type of tumor, size of tumor, and degree of differentiations. Okay, so there are three ways of metastasis. Okay, number one is lymphatic spread, another one is a hematogenous spread, and third one is another variety. Okay, so there is a general rule: all carcinoma spread through the lymphatic spread. Some exception will be there. I'll talk to you later. Okay, all carcinoma spread through the lymphatic, and all sarcoma spreads through the hematogenous. What we have studied into the malignant tumor developed from the mesenchymal tissues, it is known as a sarcoma. The malignant tumor developed from the epithelial tissue, it is known as the carcinoma. So all carcinoma spread through the lymphatic, all sarcoma spread through the hematogenous. This is a general rule. Some exception we'll discuss later. Okay, lymphatic spread. So lymphatic spread, how it is thing? So first, before metastasis, the part of the body will be invasions. Okay, the depth, infiltration, that leads to wall of the lymphatics are invaded by the cancer cells. Okay, that leads to the sentinel lymph nodes. So what is sentinel lymph nodes? The first lymph nodes or first lymphatic system is which is affecting the first time, that is known as the sentinel lymph nodes. Okay, some examples. This is the tumor cells, so invaded, and this is the lymphatics. So what happens? These tumor cells, okay, invasion to the lymphatics, penetration of the lymphatic wall and reaches to the lymphatics. So this is known as the lymphatic thing. Okay, what is sentinel lymph nodes? We have seen which is the first lymph nodes or lymphatic system is affected, that known as the sentinel lymph nodes. Okay, type of lymphatic spread. Okay, skip metastasis. As we studied, normally the lymphatic system affected to the local lymph nodes. Okay, but what happens? Metastases don't develop into the local lymph nodes due to the venous lymphatic anastomosis or inflammation. So usually the first part, if it is suppose affecting to the lungs, it affects to the nearby the lung tissue, the lymph nodes will be affected normally. But what happens? Skip means it's skipping the local part and affecting to the other part. It is known as the skip metastasis or skip lymphatic metastasis. Next one, it is a retrograde. So what will be retrograde? So much tumor cell will accumulate into the lymphatic system. So what happens? The full obstruction of the lymphatic by the tumor cells leads to the tumor cells will progress to the backwards and affect to the other part of the organ. So that is known as the retrograde metastasis. Okay, so now we'll study about the hematogenous spread. Okay, so veins are easier to invert than the artery because of two reasons. One reason is veins are thin wall and arteries are thick wall. Another reason, veins are present into the superficial and deep and arteries are present into the deep. So that is the reason veins are more easier to invert than the arteries. Okay, certain organ, liver, lungs, breast, thyroid, kidney and prostate are the most common metastatic designation. Okay, the secondary tumor develop from these areas. Normally liver and lungs. Okay, what is the reason? We'll discuss later. Liver, lungs, breast, thyroid and kidney and prostate are the most common metastatic designations. Okay, so some of the exceptions. Okay, some of the tumors are carcinoma in nature but spread through the hematogenous spread. Usually we have studied the general rule, all carcinoma spread through the lymphatic spread. But some of the carcinoma develop through the blood. So what is the thing? The breast, lungs, ovary and thyroid. This all made up of the epithelial tissue. Okay, the tumor developed from the epithelial tissue normally will go to the lymphatic spread. What happened? But here the tumor developed from those organs is a carcinoma but spreads through the blood. So this is some exceptions. Okay, tumor is a malignant tumor. Some of the tumors are malignant. We have said all malignant tumor is metastasis. But some tumor is a malignant in nature but will not metastasis. Example is glioma and basal cell carcinoma of the skin. And third one, it is an organ will not allow for the metastasis. Some of the organ, okay, will not allow for the metastasis. So heart, skeletal muscles and spleen. So these three organ will not allow for the metastasis. Suppose tumor develop, the second tumor will not happen into this part. Okay, so other type of the spread. Okay, the local spread or direct spread. Okay, so tumor cells will reach to the open cavity like a pleura, peritoneal and pericardium. Okay, that leads to the spread through the direct. So this is known as the carcinoma of the ovary. Example is carcinoma of the ovary. And transpalamic spread. That means the tumor cell spread through the serous wall. That is example is carcinoma of stomach and ovary. And epithelial lined surface. So the tumor cells spread through the epithelium. The example is bronchus to the alveoli. Okay. And the rarest one, it is the cerebrospinal fluid spread. Okay. The tumor cell reaches to the cerebrospinal fluid and spread to the other part of the body. Example is leptomeningeus. Okay. This is known as the metastasis. So we have discussed about the four characteristics of the tumor. Mainly the malignant tumor. Number one is a differentiation, number two the rate of growth, and third one it is a local invasion, fourth one it is a metastasis. All it is the more common characteristic of the malignancy. Now we will go for the part 2, that is the development of the tumor. How the tumor is developed into the human body. Okay, by simple flowchart can explain. Okay, the cause, this is a carcinogen. Which cause can produce the tumor, it is known as the carcinogens. Okay, so what happened? This leads to, the carcinogen leads to transformation of the tumor initiating cells. So this carcinogen will affect to the single cell or multiple cells, leads to, there is a transformation of the tumor initiating cells. So instead of adaptive response, what happened? It may be go for dysplasia or anaplasia. So growth and proliferation of the thing. Once it is a dysplasia and anaplasia has happened, the growth rate depend upon the three factors we have discussed. Growth and proliferation of the tumor cells. Okay. the malignant growth, malignant tissue, malignant tumor will go faster than the benign tumor. Okay, and then go for the invasion and go for the metastasis. This is a simple flow chart. Okay, now we'll study the stepwise development of the tumor. There are totally 11 steps. Okay, number 1 is cause, that leads to transformation of the stem cells. Okay, that leads to growth and proliferation. Then carcinoma in situ. Then detachment of the tumor cells, invasion of the basement membrane, attachment of the extracellular matrix, migration of the tumor cells, lymphatics and vascular invasions, extravasation of the tumor cell, the last one, survival of the tumor mass by the angiogenesis. If I tell like this, you will not understand. Okay, we'll study with the examples. So, carcinogens. So, what is carcinogens? The agents which can introduce tumor are called carcinogens along with the genetic and environmental risk factor. Anyway, the carcinogen I am taking into the part 4, but simple understanding here. Please remember, this environmental factor is the 95% of the tumor developed in the human, it is because of environmental risk factor. Only 5% of the tumor developed with the genetic causes. Okay. Anyway, simple understanding here, the agents which can induce tumor are called carcinogens. Okay. So this is, you can see, this is the epithelial layer and this is another thing. Okay. The tumor, anything, any carcinogens, any carcinogen will affect to the normal epithelial cells. So what happened? So first changes is a transformation of the stem cell. So here non-lethal genetic damage of the DNA due to various carcinogens leads to mutation in the genome of the somatic cells. So what, because of carcinogens there is a genetic damage, there is a DNA damage because of mutation in the somatic cells. Okay, so here you can see that the cells, suppose the carcinogen affected, only the particular part of the cells will be, DNA and everything, genetic material will be damaged. That is the first sign of the cancer. So most of the time the tumors are monoclonal. What is monoclonal? The single cells will be involved that progress into the multiple cells. So we'll discuss into the molecular basis. But here please remember that all the tumors are affected by the monoclonal type. Okay. The third one, growth and proliferations. So what is the growth proliferations? Once it is level of differentiation, dysplasia and anaplasia, that leads to benign and malignant tumor. Once because of cause, okay, transformation of the DNA. So what happened? Dysplasia, either you can see here the dysplasia also form and anaplasia form. If more dysplasia, it goes to the benign, and more anaplasia, it goes to the malignancy. Okay. Next one, it is a carcinoma in situ. Very important topic. When the dysplastic or anaplastic changes occur into the entire epithelial layer without penetration of the basement membrane, it is known as the carcinoma of situ. So here the things to remember is the without penetration of the basement membrane. Okay, let me talk some example. So this is the affected area. So carcinoma situ means the entire layer. Okay, this entire layer will be involved. Maybe the dysplasia or anaplasia, but the things to remember is it will not penetrate the basement membrane. That is the carcinoma in situ. Mostly it is happening into the epithelial layer. Okay, that is known as it is a carcinoma in situ. Okay, next one, detachment of the tumor cells. So what is detachment? How it is a loosening. Okay, so in our body normally there are two addition molecules. One is E-cadherin, another one is immunoglobulin superfamily. So all the cells are attached to each other by additions molecule, E-cadherin, and cellular organization and polarity by the canine. Okay, immunoglobulin superfamily additions molecule like vascular endothelial addition molecule, intercellular addition molecule 1. So all the cells attached by this additions molecule. So what happened? This addition molecule in the tumor, it is decreased function, leads to malignant cells are loosened and extend for the metastasis. Okay, here you can see the cells. Okay, the malignant cells will be loosened because the additions molecule will not work properly. That leads to loosening. So this process is known as the detachment of the tumor cells. Okay. Next one, invasion of the basement membrane. So invasion means it is, so this is everything will be present inside the basement membrane. This is the basement membrane. So inside the basement membrane. So what happened? The tumor cell secrete. The tumor cells are autonomous. Okay. So what happened? That secrete the own type of the some proteolytic enzyme like MMP. This MMP we discussed into the healing chapter. So what is MMP? Matrix metalloproteinase. So this tumor cell will secrete the MMP that leads to degrade the basement membrane. How? The basement membrane made up of collagen 4 and laminin. So this will be degraded by the MMPs that leads to the basement membrane will be degraded. So the tumor cells just invaded to the other part of the same tissues. Okay, this is known as a basement membrane degradation. Okay, the seventh one, attachments to the ECM. The tumor cells containing integrin principal. What is integrin? The principal receptor used to bind to the extracellular matrix as a transmembrane linkage. So this tumor cell autonomous that will secrete the integrin. So that integrin helps to attach to the fibronectin and collagens. So these are tumor cells attached to the collagens and fibronectin and fibroblasts. So this is the attachments to the ECM because tumor cell can secrete like integrins. Next one, migration of the tumor cells in the ECM. So tumor cells also secrete AMF, that is the autocrine motility factor. So this is the motility stimulating protein which secreted by the malignant cell. So what happened? That leads to malignant cells are migrating to the ECM. Okay, so now it is reached. Now it reaches to the this part. So with the help of AMF, it is migrating. Okay, and the next one, it is a lymphatic and vascular invasion. So tumor cells enter from the extracellular matrix to the vessels via growth factors. That is so many growth factors. Here I am making transforming growth factor beta signaling pathway. So we will discuss into the molecular basis and additions to the endothelium. So once it is reaches, so this malignant cells reaches to the vascular tissue or lymphatic tissue. This type is known as the vascular invasions. Next one, extravasation of the tumor cells. The tumor cells are extravasation via the same mechanism and reaches to the new site. Okay, so this is the cells. Now it reaches inside. Now it comes to the outside. Okay, it reaches to the extravasation. That means out. It reaches again to the. So how it comes? The same pathway. First it will penetrate the. First will loosening of the endothelium by detachment of the addition molecule. Then degrade the basement membrane, then will come out. Same mechanism, it comes to the outside. So the last one, it is the survival of the tumor mass by the angiogenesis. Why the angiogenesis? The process of angiogenesis by angiogenetic growth factors, like so many growth factors. We have said platelet derived growth factor and everything. Okay, so why it is coming? This angiogenesis is coming. Once it is the tumor mass develop into any part of the body, the tumor mass develop any part of the body, it requires nutrition for the development. It is required nutrition. So who's giving nutrition? There is a blood vessel is giving. So what happened is the autonomous, these tumor cells are autonomous, they can secrete the growth factor. That growth factor stimulate the formation of the new blood vessels formation that leads to tumor cells will be survive. So this is the known as the development of the tumor. There is so 11 steps. So first reaches to the epithelium, then comes to the transformation, then invasion, then metastasis, then comes to the outside. So this is the 11 steps of the development of the tumor. That's about the part 2. So we'll discuss, we'll meet it into the part 3. Thank you.